Oh man.
Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. And welcome to another installment of The Villain Files. We've had various types of villains here on The Villain Files. Criminals, evil geniuses, ghosts, and even aliens bent on destruction. But this particular villain is someone who intends to conquer the entire galaxy and rid the universe of its greatest enemies. This is Lord Zedd. Lord Zedd was a major villain from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series and a recurring through Power Rangers Zeo and Power Rangers in Space. He was the very first American-made villain for the Power Rangers series of shows with no origin from the Japanese Sentai shows. Thousands of years ago, Zedd presumably managed to forge his own empire, as he proclaimed to be Emperor of Evil. He enslaved multiple other evil beings, such as Goldar and Rita Repulsa. Because he did not think Earth was important enough to warrant his attention, he had left Rita Repulsa to conquer it while he pursued the conquest of other systems. In the show's second season premiere, he arrived on Earth to punish Rita, disgusted with her failure to take over Earth and defeat the Power Rangers. Stripping Rita of her powers, he shrunk her and imprisoned her within a space dumpster, hurling her into the depths of space. He then mutated a piranha from the lake into the monstrous Piranha's head, who assumed command of the Tyrannosaurus sword and the Dragon sword. The Rangers barely survived the attack, but managed to regain control of their swords. Furious, Lord Zedd attempted to destroy the 5 dinosaurs, only for the Rangers to turn the tables and transform the remains into the more powerful Thunderzords. Despite being beaten by the Power Rangers in his first attack, Lord Zedd swore that he would never rest until the Rangers were completely destroyed and the Earth was reduced to cinders. Despite the Rangers' acquisition of the Thunderzords, Lord Zedd attacked again and again, each assault deadlier than the last. His monsters were created from objects on Earth with the power of his scepter, and he made them grow using grenades. Zedd would throw the grenade down to the monster, who would then catch it, pull out the pin and throw it on the ground to make itself grow. Ever since his first failure, Lord Zedd has been targeting Tommy most of all, because his Green Ranger powers were created by Rita Repulsa, and he was determined to wipe out all memory of her failures. After Tommy's Green Ranger powers were extinguished completely, Lord Zedd turned his attention to Kimberly the Pink Ranger, who had desired her to be his queen based on her good looks and tenacity, and sent Goldar to capture, brainwash and train her into being so. But his plan failed when it was discovered that the magic dust that was used to entrance her didn't work, and that she was really doing a Rita impression to fool Goldar and buy the Rangers enough time to rescue her. Zedd has hated Kimberly ever since. Over time, Lord Zedd discovered that the Rangers were no pushovers, and each of his monsters failed to defeat them. With the Thunderzords and new White Tiger Sword on their side after Tommy returned as the White Ranger, the Power Rangers seemed indestructible. He soon unearthed the gigantic war machine known as Serpentera that was so large that it could crush the Rangers' swords with ease. However, its flaw was that it used up its energy so fast that it could only be used for short periods of time. Soon it was time for Zedd to fully restore his evil energies with his Sentinel recharge. It was during this slumber that Rita Repulsa returned to the palace, plotting revenge. She poured a love potion created by Finster into the recharging machine, and when Zedd awoke, he instantly fell in love with Rita, proposing. However, the love potion did not work as Rita hoped. She planned on manipulating him, but Zedd was strong enough to resist, but not completely. He became less serious on defeating the Rangers and more focused on his life with Rita. Despite turning into a goofy conqueror after marrying Rita Repulsa, the two of them proved to be a greater threat to the Power Rangers together than either one of them did alone. With Zedd and Rita working side by side, the Rangers' battles became more difficult than ever. Zedd and Rita's schemes together, including creating a clone of the evil Tommy and sending the Rangers back to the past. When his wife's brother Rita Repulsa arrived on the moon, even with 10 good warriors and a vampiress as gifts, Lord Zedd was disgusted by the skeleton's stupidity and would bellow with rage every time Rito called him Ed. But with Rito's help, Zedd and Rita were able to destroy the Thunder Swords and the Rangers' powers, persuading them to go in search of the Great Ninja and receive the new ninja powers as well as the ninja swords. Rita's love potion was eventually removed from Zedd thanks to Goldar, but to everyone's surprise, Zedd truly loved Rita on his own. During the Pink Ranger fiasco, when Zedd had held her hostage to force the Rangers to use the Shogun swords in his service, Lord Zedd battled Tommy personally to keep him from saving Kimberly from an alternate dimension. This marked the only time that Zedd had battled a Ranger personally, proving himself quite capable of holding his own. Though Zedd easily gained the upper hand against the White Ranger, Tommy used Saba, his sword, to shatter Zedd's sea staff, forcing him to retreat. When Master Vile arrived on the moon, Lord Zedd was pushed to the side as Vile took over in search of the Zeo Crystal. He expressed disdain to his father-in-law, who constantly put him down. Once Vile left after his army was defeated by the Aqua Rangers, Zedd was ecstatic, and he resumed his attacks on Earth. The Rangers had been turned into children due to Vile's Orb of Doom, and all that stood in Zedd's way were the Aqua Rangers. During this time, Zedd and Rita managed to destroy the Earth Rangers' power coins, but only after Billy returned to his proper age. Zedd also found a map of the Rangers' command center, pointing out a weak point. He sent Goldar and Rita in to plant a bomb and steal the Zeo Crystal before the Orb of Doom's magic was undone. Though unable to stop the Rangers in undoing the damage Master Vile did, Zedd was able to destroy the command center, and despite Lord Zedd's victory over the Rangers this time around, there was no time to celebrate, as a bigger and greater threat arose. Just as Rita and Zedd started to celebrate their victory over the Power Rangers and destroying their command center, the Machine Empire led by Kim Mondo and Queen Machina arrived and attacked. Zedd and Rita were forced to retreat, taking Serpentera to the M51 galaxy. They soon returned, however, in a motorhome, plotting to overthrow Mondo and destroy the Empire. The two forces clashed on several occasions, neither gaining much ground. At one point, Prince Gasket, Mondo's son, had Tommy brainwashed and closed in a dimension portal to his arena to prevent the Rangers from saving him. But Zedd and Finster helped the Rangers get to the arena to prevent the machine victory. After a series of failed attempts, they finally managed to destroy the Royal House of Gadgetry with a bomb shaped like a gift. And us fans couldn't wait to see what Lord Zedd and Rita Repulsa had in store for the Zeo Rangers. But sadly, we never got it. Despite Zedd and Rita being mysteriously absent during the Power Rangers Turbo season, fans have speculated that a gap between Zeo and Turbo movie reveals that Zedd and Rita had tried to regain control of the Earth with Serpentera, but have failed to take over the Earth, forcing them to retreat for good. Lord Zedd, along with Rita, makes a cameo appearance in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, when the new villain Divatox calls Rita for advice on how to deal with the Power Rangers. She is subjected to Zedd's snoring and Rita instructing her to flee rather than fight. After many successive failures, this was the best advice the villainess could get. A year later, Zedd and Rita attended the Dark Spectre's conference. Zedd toasted to the Dark Spectre's capture of Zordon and take over the universe, and unsuccessfully tried to attack Andros, the Space Red Ranger, when he was caught spying. Months later, they invaded the Vika Galaxy and quickly conquered it, defeating and capturing the Gold Ranger in the process. When Zordon's energy wave washed over them and their army, Zedd was inspired, transformed into a human being. His love for Rita seemed to remain, and the two danced together in the remnants of their army, much to the confusion of the Gold Ranger. In Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, Rita and Zedd's son, Frax, shows up and attempts to restore their legacy by destroying the Power Rangers, but ultimately fails. Despite being purified into a good human by Zordon, Lord Zedd will make many appearances in other forms of media, including the big screen movie, some video games, comics, and even toy lines. In the 1995 Power Rangers movie for the big screen, Lord Zedd is a villain that has time and time again fought against the Power Rangers. With Rita Repulsa by his side and his lackeys Goldar and Mordant in tow, they slipped into Earth when he realized that a hyperlock chamber he had been searching for 2,000 years had surfaced in Angel Grove. He frees the prisoner, revealing him to be the legendary villain Ivan Ooze. He then unleashes him on the Rangers, hoping he'll finally destroy them. He seemed to show a great amount of respect for Ivan at first. However, when Ooze returns and turns out he hadn't destroyed the Rangers, Zedd begins to berate Ooze, which does not sit too well with the evil tyrant. Zedd and Rita are overpowered by Ooze, and he miniaturizes them, trapping them in a snow globe, leaving Ooze with his moon base and lackeys to do as he pleases. However, when things begin to turn around for the Rangers, Zedd and Rita cheer on the Rangers, knowing full well that destruction is to come to Ivan Ooze for crossing the Rangers. After Ooze's destruction, he and Rita return to normal in the Lunar Palace, glaring angrily at the worried Goldar and Mordant. Lord Zedd appears as the main villain in the video game Power Rangers Super Legends. Years after the events of Countdown to Destruction, Zedd's human form became an archaeologist on Earth and found the time crystal. Not able to resist the temptation to look back on what he once was, Zedd's past self detected this and reached out to corrupt the artifact and recreate himself. After his powers were restored, Zedd decided to enjoy making use of the time crystals to create chaos in the timeline, not caring of the consequences of his actions may have already had on reality. He visited various points of the future and past, forming alliances with generals and leaders of villain factions and giving them minions from other timelines. At the end of the game, it takes the combined effort of the various Rangers from the past, present and future to defeat him. Zedd attempts to escape, but accidentally drops the time crystal when fleeing to the void outside of time. The Omega Ranger admits to his fellow Rangers that it may take Zedd eons to escape, bringing a peace into the universe on at least one front. Lord Zedd is among the many villains who featured in the Power Rangers Legacy Wars iPhone game. Lord Zedd had even appeared as the main villain in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Live, where he attempted to destroy the Rangers once again, but ultimately failed. Lord Zedd had even appeared in the 5th, 23rd, 24th and 25th episodes of Power Rangers Hyperforce. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Lord Zedd was voiced by the late Robert Axelrod, who gave a great voice to the character, an evil, gravelly voice with a lot of emotion in it, compared to a lot of the other monsters within Power Rangers over the years. Axelrod also returned to voice him in the 1995 movie, where he made Zedd sound a little more demonic and had a deeper voice. When Zedd appeared in Power Rangers Super Legends, he was voiced by Stephen Bloom, with Tony Oliver voicing him in the Power Rangers Super Megaforce video game, and Malika Lim portraying him in Power Rangers Hyperforce. Lord Zedd starts off in the show as very menacing, sadistic and full of himself. He coldly abuses his lackeys, dangerously silencing Goldar and the others frequently and blaming them for most of his failures rather than taking responsibility for the failures himself. During and after the wedding, however, thanks to Rita's love potion, his personality changes to a mostly loving and caring person around Rita, but he still abuses her and others when he doesn't get his way. And Zedd's appearance just spills out pure evil in my opinion. It's just one of the greatest villain designs of all time. And I don't just mean Power Rangers villains, but I mean villains in general, with a metal mask that hides his true face, with a permanent wicked grin on it, a hole at the top exposing his brain, exposed muscles, and metal exoskeleton around him, and tubes carrying liquid all over his body. That's just pure evil to me. And every time Lord Zedd loses his temper with his minions, or the Rangers, or at any one of his defeats, he glows bright red. Lord Zedd has super strength. Despite fighting rarely, he can still hold his own against the Rangers, as was proven when he fought Tommy the White Ranger and nearly wiped the floor with him. He is able to conjure objects out of thin air, such as his staff from a snake, or growth bombs. Zedd's vision is so accurate, he can see what's happening on Earth just by looking at the planet. He also seems to see what happens in an entirely different solar system, as seen when the Rangers travel to other planets. In his first appearance, he caused a thunderstorm on the moon, which is very different from how sunny it was in the very first episode of the show. He also created a giant projection of himself in the clouds in said storm. And if it wasn't obvious, Zedd can generate lightning over himself to teleport to any location he chooses. And of course his growth bombs give the abilities to have monsters grow giant. But when he married Rita, he eventually started combining his staff with hers to make the monsters grow. Over the years, Lord Zedd has been known as one of the most famous, best, and most iconic villains in Power Rangers history, including myself. Over the years, Lord Zedd has become one of the most iconic villains in Power Rangers history, and loved by many fans including myself. And despite his voice actor Robert Axelrod passing away this year, his legacy will live on in this famous Power Rangers villain. And all memories of this character will not be fading away anytime soon, despite having not appeared since Power Rangers in Space. For all these reasons, Lord Zedd will remain one of the greatest villains in Power Rangers history. And that's everything I know that you need to know about Lord Zedd. Look out for more villain files in the future. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks.